Hey friends, welcome back to Emperor Vishal channel. Today we're talking about top 5 best villains in Naruto universe. So for the sake of this channel, please watch the full video and don't forget to like this video, share this video and also subscribe this channel. Let's start the video. Number 5. Kaguya Otsutsuki. Sometimes the essence of our love can be the essence of our downfall. In all seriousness, I wasn't going to even put a Kaguya on the list, but I have to say that I will be a fool not to. Granted, she didn't get very high on the list, but considering her role in the story, I would say she's pretty important and her character concept is pretty interesting. Through she is widely unpopular because of the manner in which she was introduced as a villain. So, who is Kaguya Otsutsuki? Kaguya Otsutsuki was the first ever chakra user, an otherworldly being sent to Earth during an era of endless war to cultivate a god tree on Earth and harvest its chakra fruits. Initially, she was going to be sacrificed to the Ten Tails, which would be nourished the god tree. However, Kaguya betrayed Ishiki and left him for dead because instead of being a sacrifice, she wanted to eat the fruit herself. While on Earth, she encountered Tenji, the emperor of the land of ancestors, become his concubine. When she was threatened by officials from another land and retaliated, she was hunted down for execution. Feeling betrayed by and losing all faith in humanity but still wanting to achieve a peace, she ate the chakra fruit, believing that it was the best route for peace because it gave her the ability to cast infinite Tsukuyomi, gradually turning humans into white Zetsu and becoming the sole ruler of the world, essentially a god. She would go on to give birth twins, Hagoromo and Hamura, who become the first people to be born naturally with the ability to use chakra. Unfortunately, Kaguya eventually grew greedy and wanted to possess all chakra, which intensified her resentment towards human and her sons who are half humans. In order to enact her plan, she proceeded to become the Ten Tails to absorb all chakra, which her sons mistook for an incarnation of the god tree that attacked them. Sealed her chakra, which ended up creating the moon, which Hagorama and Hamura decided he would depart into order to guard the Ten Tails' remains, while Hagoromo spread chakra to humanity and taught them the concept of ninjutsu, aka ninsu. Before Kaguya was sealed, she created Black Zetsu out of her will, who manipulated Indra in order to reawaken the Rinnegan and break the seal, which Madara Uchiha succeeded in. So yeah, a lot of unpack there. Kaguya had a couple of motivations: revenge on humanity for betraying her when she had betrayed her own people for them, and taking back the chakra that had been growing on Earth. She is on his list because of the simple fact that everything in Naruto, every last little plot point or detail, all leads back to her. Without Kaguya, there is no Naruto. I personally don't like her very much, while her motivations are fitting for her character. Given her background, the way she was introduced didn't do her justice, and most fans agrees with that. Hence why she is such an unpopular villain, but in that same train of thought, she is the only female villain in Naruto really worth her salt. I mean, Kaguya's a literally goddess. And she's entertaining because the revelation of her existence is intriguing to the larger story, to the world building involved in Naruto. Just imagine one day you woke up and find out that the world is the way it is because an alien came to Earth, gave humans a chance, and was subsequently burned by the dumpster fire that is humanity. Insane, man. Number 4. Obito Uchiha aka Ilias Toby. Obito being forced to wake up to reality by Madara Uchiha. Obito Uchiha was honestly kind of a unique case in the Uchiha clan in the sense of that he didn't seem to grow up with the standard Uchiha arrogance. Through he definitely grew up with that standard Uchiha dramatism. The reason I say that is the Uchiha seems to always leave Konoha when they don't get their way. True, to be fair, if I were in Obito's shoes, I probably wouldn't want to stay either. So Obito at least have a sympathetic reason why he would have leave. Obito was not born bad. Many of the villains on this list were not born bad. He was just a little excitable and determined to be a noticed since he wasn't really acknowledged by his own clan. Naturally, he struck up a one-sided rivalry with Kakashi over a girl, Rin, who they were on a same team with, always in Kakashi's shadow, no matter what stage of their ninja careers. Obito struggled with jealousy over Kakashi's popularity. It's important to note that Obito's relationship with Kakashi and Rin is imperative to understanding his character, but not necessarily his motive. When Kakashi lost an eye during the mission to rescue Rin, Obito gave Kakashi his good eye with the Sharingan. To his fortune, he was reduced and rescued by Madara, healed, given Rinnegan in one eye, which naturally made Obito feel indebted to him. And when we feel indebted to people, sometimes we kind of put them on a pedestal, thinking they are worth trusting. Because, of course, Madara, being Madara, would go on to orchestrate, reinstate, and make Obito watch to totally shatter Obito's hope and thus make him easier to groom for the Eye of the Moon's plan. Rin's death is part of why he is the way he is in an adult, but it is not why he did everything he did. He even says so himself. His motivation lies in wanting revenge against the world that he felt betrayed him. He felt to be a lost everything, and technically that's true. While his love for Rain fueled his motivation, his ultimate goal wasn't just because of Rain. What makes him even more intriguing is that he's much like Naruto, or rather like a failed version of Naruto. While yes, Naruto had a significantly harder upbringing, Obito literally lost everything. Obito and Naruto spent both their childhoods dreaming of being acknowledged. Obito and Naruto both saw the world with wide eyes, holding on to their idealism with tight grips. The difference is that Obito died, was locked in Madara's cave for a year, and had manipulative tactics. Forced to watch the most important person to him get murdered by someone she cared for, the same person he gave his literal eye to. Obito felt so betrayed and alone because of Madara's actions, because of the relentless grooming, that Obito was willing to do anything and everything for Madara. And that's the danger of devotion. I think that's the general conscious behind the villains in this series. Devotion can be either your greatest tool or your greatest weapon. I want to so deep that Obito attacked his former mentor and his family, damning both Minato and Kushina to death just to steal Kurama into Naruto as an infant. This goes without mentioning even how Obito straight up almost killed Naruto himself, all for Madara. Number 3, Nagato, aka Pain, the world's best ventriloquist. The star among the Akatsuki. Okay, maybe that's debatable, considering that there are multiple members in the Akatsuki that can be considering a popular, but Nagato by far of the Akatsuki has the most compelling backstory and contribution to the main plot, where the rest of the Akatsuki are more support for Nagato, the ringmaster for the circus of broken individuals. In all seriousness, through Nagato is an intriguing villain to dissect, and arguably of the villains on this list. His backstory is probably one of the most tragic and broken backstory in whole Naruto universe. Nagato Uzumaki, also known as Pain, was technically the second leader of the Akatsuki, right after Yahiko, one of his childhood best friend who prompted and tried to fight for peace. In order to look at Nagato's motivation, we will dissect his past. To keep in short, Nagato did not have easy as a child. At an extremely young age, Madara Uchiha abducted Nagato and implanted the Rinnegan in his eyes, an event that Nagato could not even remember simply because he was just too young. And then, sometimes later, during the Second Shinobi World War, Nagato would become an orphan after Konoha ninjas broke into his Amage Kakure home and killed his parents due to misunderstanding. Nagato, in his grief, killed the ninjas that killed his parent, even as they tried to apologize. And after laying his parents to rest, Nagato was forced to wander the streets in search for food. But because of the war, resources were scarce. To his luck, he was discovered by his childhood friends Yahiko and Conan, and the three would form the earliest version of the Akatsuki, the more peaceful version. The three decided that in order to get a place where they could be in charge and all and wares, they had to become ninja. So they approached the legendary Sanin looking for help, to which they would not receive much initially, but they at least were given a place to live and taught how to fish by Jiraiya, who would later change his mind upon seeing Nagato's eyes and being reminded of the Sage of Six Path. Jiraiya thought of him as a reincarnation of the aforementioned sage, someone who would use their Rinnegan to usher in a world of peace. So Jiraiya taught the three orphans for 3 years, and given that the three advanced in their training very, very quickly, they were deemed ready to forge out on their own. Then, forming the Akatsuki with Yahiko as the leader, they become very popular and their message was gaining momentum. Enough that Hanzo of the Salamander Fate threatened, prompting him to seek out Danzo Shimura for help to ambush them under a guise of a peace negotiation, with Conan taken as a hostage and Yahiko and Nagato forced to fight to the death. To spare Nagato, Yahiko committed suicide, an event that totally changed the course of Nagato's life. His death convinced Nagato that his dreams for peace were stupid, that there is no ending to the cycle of hatred, pain, and death. Given that the fight against Danzo and Hanzo left him crippled, he couldn't personally do work for the Akatsuki in the sense that he goes on missions. So, using Yahiko's corpse, he activated the Deva path, essentially puppeteering his dead friend to continue the work of the Akatsuki with a different approach. Nagato is unique because he was probably the closest to actually achieving some semblance of peace, at least within the context of his village. Through the plans was likely doomed to fail from the start, although his motives weren't necessarily evil just for evil's sake. Although his ultimate goal was peace, spreading pain won't unite everyone. All Nagato was doing was submitting to delusions of godhood due to people around him hailing as something akin to a messiah and repeating the cycle of abuse. Number two, Danzo. I know you are all angry on me, but let me finish. Danjo seconds away from facing karma. Okay, jerk is the understatement of the century. Danzo is a demon. He is the devil. He is so easy to hate. To preface before we get into it, the only reason he did not find a place at number one is because the villain at number one is a league of his own. Very few characters in Naruto can compare to him. Number one. That being said, Danzo still sits on high this list because of the sheer depthivity of his actions. And frankly, a villain can be very successful when you can genuinely hate said character. Danzo is a villain that fits this category very well. Before I get into why is a good villain and why is deserve this spot, let's look at Danzo's Danjo Shimura as an elder of Konoha, nicknamed the Shinobi of Darkness or the Darkness of Shinobi, and he is the founder of Root, a subdivision of the Anbu. Before the end of his life, he was appointed the sixth Hokage candidate, only to die by Sasuke's hands before he could taste the kind of power that comes with being Hokage. In his youth, Danzo participated in the first Ninja War and in fact was on Tobi Ramasenju's escort team along with Kagami Uchiha and Hiruzen. In this war, Danzo is exposed to what true power looks like when he witnesses Hashirama in battle, and it awakens inside him an immense thirst for power like that. In this thirst that drives him forward to his rivalry with Hiruzen. When the escort team is confronted by Ginkaku and Ginkaku, they were confronted with the reality that someone will need to essentially be sacrificed in order for them the team to make out it alive, which heroes and volunteers before Dansoken, earning in turn the title of the next Hokage. From this point on, Danzo becomes determined to become Hokage. But in the meantime, he appointed to overlook the secret underbelly of the ninja world, that being the Anbu, those founding root, a hand-picked team of people that Danjo himself would put together, composed of people he thought would be best for assassinations or reconciliations mission. In establishing route, he proceeded to carry out the dirty jobs such as assassinating political enemies or overthrowing other governments. In short, he is essentially akin to the head of CIA. Danjo naturally eventually began to target the Akatsuki, but the only reason he did was because he was promised help by Hanzo the Salamander to take the Hokage title, and actually directly targeted Nagato for the reason that his power would end up being a particularly big problem. Initially, to attack the Akatsuki, he sent root members dressed as hidden stone ninja to attack a peace treaty signing. But when Nagato killed all the offending ninja that were sent, he tried to different tactic. He proceeded to disguise himself with a fake name, Kanzo of all things, and dress as an Ame ninja and go to Conan, Yahiko, and Nagato, telling them that Hanzo sent him to tell them that peace contracts were made and that they wanted to have a meeting with the Akatsuki. When this meeting came, however, Conan was taken hostage and Yahiko and Nagato were forced to fight to the death, with Yahiko dying, effectively creating pain, who killed almost everyone except for Danjo, Hanjo, and Conan. Pretty bad guy, right? Yeah, he get worse. He started working with Orochimaru too. Danjo knew that Orochimaru's human experimentation but didn't tell Hiruzen. Danjo participated in this human experimentation actually when Orochimaru replaced his arm with Shin Uchiha's arm, which he then crafted Hashirama Cell on to harness his power. He also recruited Kabuto as a child into Root, brainwashed Nano into killing Kabuto by altering her memories to the point that she does not remember his face. Why did Danzo do that? Because he thought they knew too much. Danzo would also go on to have hand in the Uchiha massacre, ordering a 13 years old Itachi to murder his family. There are so many awful things this man did that it feels impossible to list each and every one. The reason he is so unique and the reason he is so high up on this list that he has no redeeming qualities or explanation for how he got that way. He just is almost every other Naruto villain has some kind of noble, tragic backstory and that makes you feel for them, that you can even agree with in some way. But Danjo is pure evil. That's why he is number two at my list. What do you think? Number one, Madara Uchiha, the ghost of the Uchiha. Madara taking what he wants from Hashirama Senju. Is it really any surprise that Madara Uchiha reached the number one spot on this list? To be perfectly honest, when I making this list, Nagato had a really strong chance to win the first spot. But the reason he didn't because of a couple of reasons. First, comparatively, the eyes of the moon plan is in a way much more nuanced, debatable, and even kind of a persuasive in the sense of that between fans of the series. There is significant debate about Madara being right, where Nagato's plan is arguably less than persuasive in the sense of that his whole deal was unifying every shinobi nation under the shared experience of pain. Second, while Nagato's story is compelling, Madara's influence is much more whispered with a significant amount of major plot points, especially in the part leading back to Madara. So, who is Madara Uchiha? Madara is one of the original founder of the Konoha and one of the old leaders of the Uchiha clan. He was born during the warring states period when children fight in wars at extremely young ages was pretty much a requirement. Throughout Madara's life, he has been an extreme amount of death and violence. To begin with, three of his younger brothers dying, leaving him only one brother that he was very close with. It's even worse when you remember that Madara's best friend, rival, enemy just so happened to be Hashirama Senju, the other co-founder of Konoha, the first village to emerge from the Warring State period, and the Senju and the Uchiha clan were destined to always be at war with one another. So naturally, they were rivals all throughout their lives. Madara's problem, however, is that he cannot learn to lose with dignity. Madara lost to Hashirama his whole life. Despite being evenly matched, Madara was never as popular. He lost the vote for Hokage. His concerns weren't taken seriously. He lost his role as an Uchiha leader when he began to express fear and paranoia about how the Senju family would surpass the Uchiha clan. He could not compare to Hashirama's power from childhood into adulthood. Hashirama had the nerve to be stronger than him, but also better natured. Even that to secure peace was willing to kill himself. Madara kept losing fight after bitter fight, all because he cannot learn to lose and let it go. It wasn't entirely that he was trying to serve himself with all of his fighting. He fought his whole life just to survive, and now he had to fight to ensure continued survival. This is part of and why he founded Konoha with Hashirama. He was tried before they were trying to decide who should be Hokage. They had agreed that no children should be forced to fight in a war, which is ironic given that the fourth ninja war prompted children, teenagers, but still need to fight. Here's the deal with Madara, and this is what makes him a terrifying villain. Power aside, his motivation was some semblance of true peace. His idea of achieving this was the Eye of the Moon plan, granted under Kaguya and Black Jesus' influence, but my point stands. Essentially, he would gather all of the Jinchuriki to reform the Ten Tails to then become the Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails and cast the infinite Tsukuyomi, which would definitely create peace in a manner of speaking while also destroying free will. Hence the question, was Madara right? That's still debated by many fans. What makes Madara a compelling and unique villain in a few things? He is of the Naruto villains, one of the most well spoken, complex characters in the show. The striking thing that to me is that despite all awful things he did using children to orchestrate his plan, despite his original sentiments or the thousands of deaths he caused throughout his two lives, his first life, then during his reanimation during the fourth Great Ninja War. He did all of this because he loved his clan enough, because he wanted peace badly enough that he wanted to ensure a world that would not make for violence end, even if it meant bringing violence ends. There is a phrase on the internet that goes, a hero would sacrifice you to serve the world. A villain would sacrifice the world to save you. And frankly, mother of his death. If you ask me, through it refers more towards his long dead brother and his long annihilated clan. I also think that he had a very fitting end when he experienced his final death, finally burying the hedge with Hashirama, effectively ending the conflict that he had dragged out necessarily. Naruto, in and of itself, is a widely complex story with even more complex and moving villains. It is no easy task to discern which villain deserve to be in the top 5 list, and so this video may be biased. However, I think that many anime fans, especially those who grew up watching Naruto, can agree that this anime really set the bar for villains. So if you like this video, then share it in your friends group, social media group, also in your girlfriend's message chats, and impress her. And don't forget to subscribe the Emperor Vishal channel and like this video and share this video. Thank you for watching. We will meet again in other amazing videos.